Ask. I wasn't always a Porsche person. Actually, I'm a Ferrari guy. I love Ferraris.
Well, your painting shows that quite a bit too. There's a lot of Italians in there.
Yeah, I do love Ferraris. But to make the short version of this really cool story, not as short as it needs to be, a friend of mine, Jerry Horton, who's the guitarist to Papa Roach.
Papa Roach?
Yeah.
Papa Roach.
He is, we were delivering his custom Merc back to him a few years ago, and he has a .2 997S. And while we're up at his place, he said, "Hey, you want to take me? I'll take you for a ride in the car." I said, "Oh, okay." I never really much into 911s at all. And he took me for a ride, and I was like, "This is a lot nicer than I thought it would be." So cool. As soon as I got home, I was like, "How much are 911s?"
eBay.
And I was at a different part in art career even just a few years ago. And what I initially started looking at was 986s, Boxsters, because I thought, this is great entry level.
And the price point to buy in is like...
Absolutely. But what I didn't realize, or I realized as I was searching, I was like, well, for a little bit more, I can get a 911. I just have to get this one that apparently everybody hates. But I don't really care about that. I want a 911. So that's how we happened to that one. So that's my fun story. I was never a Porsche person before that.
That's really wild. Now, I mean, the Gen 2 997 obviously is a lot more technologically
It's a different,
advanced.
Yeah. It's
that's
a direct
almost
injection
the 991
car.
underneath, whereas my car is really the 996 underneath.
They are slightly different.
What about when you got your 996? Was it everything you needed and wanted out of it, or were you thinking about that direct injection 997 ride?
No, I mean, because when he took me for the drive, it's not like he went stomping. We just went through some roads, and I just thought, man, this is a cool, small car. A lot of the supercars that I've been in are quite big, and that makes them a little bit of a handful to throw around in canyons. You notice how wide they are. So I liked how
greenhouse. I can't see out of past the pillars and everything. I don't know where
everything's a blind spot. So I just liked that it was a contained car. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get into something that was that highbrow for a 911. But prior to that, I never even considered 911s because they're just, to me, they're a little pedestrian. I think Ferraris are much more exotic. But having worked on Ferraris, I know that taking care of them is a different story as well. Yeah.
You worked on Ferraris?
Oh, yeah. We used to own a paint and body shop. I used to paint cars for a living, exclusively Ferraris.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Is that how you became Pinstripe Chris?
I was pinstriping when I was named that.
Holy smokes.
I have a few different iterations of lives I've lived all the way up to now.
Good for you. I love that. Keep reinventing, brother.
It's a cool journey. It's been fun.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I forgive me for bouncing around then. You keep
That's
telling
okay.
your story. I'm just so fascinated.
So yeah, I love that 996, and the silver. The first one I had was silver, just like a very generic 6-speed. The guy I bought it from at a dealership in Huntington Beach, super cool guys, and they took care of everything. And of course, everyone's like, "You get that IMS checked?" And I'm like, "I don't care. Let it blow up. It's $16,000. I don't care." And it was the most reliable car I've ever had. Then we got this. Then I traded up for the one that I have now. So what I have now is a C4S.
Oh, I see.
And
a Gen 2.
And a Gen 2. They didn't, there isn't a Gen 1 C4S. They had a C4, and it wasn't until the turbo body that they had a C4S. But when I saw the listing for this one, I was like, it's peculiarly priced very high, like out of market high. One of the reasons was the miles. It had 27,000 miles on it.
Oh, gosh.
Well, that doesn't help, but it had a couple of option codes that I wasn't familiar with. And I thought, well, we got to go check this out. This is a factory X51 car.
Oh, look at you.
So I was like, we have to have this one. It was way too expensive for what it was. But I thought, we'll see what the bank says. And they let us go with it. So I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. So it's the power kit version of a C4S with no other options. It doesn't have any option that everybody else has on their Porsches.
Wow, that's so wild.
No rear wiper, no heated seats. It didn't even have sport exhaust. It only has X51. That's it.
I mean, that's a purist car, right?
You would think, but then, come on, how about some sport exhaust or lowering suspension or something?
Well, in my mind, somebody who buys that car is going to do that stuff to it.
Maybe, and it was untouched when I got it.
But they'll have Porsche do the engine.
Exactly.
Do the spec on
which
this,
makes a lot of
and then
sense.
I'll do coilovers or whatever.
Yeah. So we certainly have done some things to it since, which is nice. It definitely feels a lot more like mine. But going from the first one to the second one, it's just a huge jump in car. Love the all-wheel drive, and there's so much like discerning information about what goes into an X51 car and what doesn't.
Interesting. And do you feel that power?
Oh my God, yes. Because
Really?
I've test driven a million other Porsches.
Sure.
So even other C4Ss that I checked out prior to this one, I was like, I knew that this one was just way different.
What's the bump? And then is the differential different as well? I can't remember. There's something different somewhere in there, right? Oh, maybe no, not on the 4S. Probably not. No, I guess not.
In which way?
Doesn't Magnus have one of these as well? Didn't he get a X51?
I don't know. I mean, so...
I don't want to say the wrong thing. I could very well be wrong here.
So there's X50 kits on turbos, so he could have an X50 turbo car.
No, I think I'm just confusing things.
I know he's got a couple of
I do
996 GT3s. It happens. There's so many people with cars to keep track of. But there's a lot of pieces and parts that make the extra power in the car. And I think you could definitely feel it, having driven a bunch of other Porsches.
So what is the power bump? What does Porsche say?
What they quote it as is 25.
Okay.
There's no
That's a
way
lot.
that's true.
You think it's more?
Oh my God, yeah. Not like a ton, but there's no way that's just 25.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've driven late model stuff that had nowhere near the touch.
Do you feel it in the torque? Is that what it is?
It's mostly, and what's weird, because they quote it at 25 horsepower and no torque.
Really?
And it's absolutely torque.
And it's mostly torque. Yeah, sure. Well, that's what you feel.
But it's all at the end of the rev range, so it's not till you get past like 4,500 that it really does a few extra things anyways, but there's a lot more mechanical parts in the 996 version of the X51 versus the later stuff, which is more electronics. So just different ways to extract the power. And 996.2, which is what I have, is the first year you could get an X51 in the United States.
Interesting. And how many were there? I mean, was that an option that a lot of people spec? Because my
Apparently
understanding is it's
not.
pretty rare.
Yeah.
Was
There's
it expensive? Maybe it was an expensive box.
I still have the original window sticker. My car was 101,000 was new. 15,000 of that was the X51 kit.
Holy cow!
Right. I don't even know why. But, well, I mean, there's a lot of pieces and parts. But that's why it's not optioned, because Porsche goes, for an extra 15 grand, you can have 25 horsepower. Most people are like, doesn't it seem like we could spend this money somewhere else in the car and get more out of it?
That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because basically, like a 911 was in the 70 range, something like that. So it was like 15 grand for the 4S-ish, something like that, as memory percent, and then another 15 grand for the package.
At that point, you might as well have stepped into a GT3 or a turbo.
I don't know. It is a different car. But
Yeah.
I guess it depends on what this guy was going to build or what his original intentions
Yeah.
were. Have you had somebody look at it? Like, was there ever other kit on there where it was driven or raced or whatever, and then they put back the stock stuff to sell it or anything like that?
I have no idea. I mean, I've obviously...
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I've had a ton of service work, and of course I had a PPI done when I bought the car, just to make sure that everything was legit. And no one's ever said anything that was like, wow, this is all amazing or anything extra.
Right.
The fact that it is a genuine factory power kit car. Because you could have also ordered it from the dealer as well. So there's a dealer add-on option, and then there's a factory add-on option. The difference is under your bonnet sticker, what it says, where your option codes are. Doesn't make one more or less legit, but on resale, one's worth more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one's going to be on the COI and one won't be, right?
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, one's a window sticker addendum.
Yeah, somebody had to order this one in its specification, and yeah, I'm a little bit nerdy about Porsche stuff, and I think that's like the coolest thing.